This is a look at some Zay Flowers film through 2 weeks of the regular season. We'll show a number of his targets. We'll show two plays when he's not on the field. We'll show the one route that hasn't been productive so far in terms of him running underneath drag, like a mesh concept. But he's running a varied set of routes, number one. Number two, the Ravens at times are definitely trying to get him the ball. Uh, think of the sixth possession. After the interception by Geno Stone, we hit him up top for the 52-yard gain, and then we force feed him the football the next two plays, which is fine with me because he's going to score on some of those, especially if we get a better block or any block on Logan Wilson. But I titled it Sudden Change for three reasons. Number one, sudden change refers to like after a turnover or at the beginning of a quarter, or say there's a weather stoppage in play of the game and you've got to wait a half an hour before you restart the game. Sudden changes, the dynamic of the game has been changed by something that occurred, and the very next play is an opportunity for a team to change the tone and tenor of the game suddenly. That's hence the phrase sudden change. And Zay Flowers did that after Geno Stone's interception in the third quarter Sunday against the Bengals. Additionally, he's changed the wide receiver group. It's been revolutionized, clearly. I mean, Nelson Aguilar, OBJ, a healthy Rashad Bateman are definitely playing a role, no doubt about it. But Zay Flowers has been the guy, I think, that has kind of spearheaded that change. And, well, I guess there's two more points. The third one is his change of direction skills are extremely sudden. He can stop on a dime, make people miss. I think I'll actually show you three plays from the Texans game here. This will just be a compilation of some of his plays. It won't only be from the Bengals game. And speaking of the Bengals, fourth, he's changed the dynamic of the Bengals DBs against our wide receivers in terms of how many guys can beat their DBs. You'll see him open at least one other time when he's not targeted. Let's get to the film. This first play is going to be the sudden change that I'm referring to. Flowers is up top, outside in the bunch, which is where he's often located. It's a 1st and 10 directly after Geno Stone's interception. And it's an over concept from the downside of the screen with Rashad Bateman. What that does is it draws 33, I think, Nick Scott, and pretty much leaves CTB alone on this vertical, and Zay Flowers is able to make the catch. It's an unbelievable catch, perfect throw by Lamar, if you ask me. Ball thrown on the inside. So what I'm talking about when I say the concept is Bateman's running this kind of deep over, and this safety's going to get pulled. DJ Turner is going to zone off away from Bateman, meaning he's going to release Bateman to the inside, let someone else handle him. In this case, it leaves CTB all alone by himself up there. Now, the throw from Lamar, Turner is able to be there in the window clearly, but he's not able to make a play on the ball. You'll get the end zone angle here in a moment, just so you can see how special it was. 52-yard gain. Suddenly, the dynamic of the Bengals defending us changed. It wasn't just Mark Andrews. It wasn't just us throwing out routes or us throwing snag concepts. This changes the way they have to defend us moving forward. Going back to week one, this is a 3rd and 5 on the third possession against the Texans. Kind of like a slot fade a little bit, which, we got the touchdown to Nelson Aguilar last week. We also had an incomplete pass to Duve, and then one time when Zay Flowers is open on that concept and we kind of overthrow him. But point is, this guy's making catches up the seam towards the sideline. We're getting him the ball horizontally. Jet sweeps or fast sweeps, if you will. He's doing everything we need him to do. Third play is interception. This is the only route where we haven't really seen him be clean, wide open. Kind of clunky here in terms of the release between him and Andrews. You can see they almost run into each other. It's mesh. Zay ends up being covered well, and Andrews on the sit route in the middle of the field is wide open. Show you another one of these, the interception from the Texans in a moment, where I think Zay Flowers is pretty obvious he's being held. But you got mesh. Andrews going to sit in the middle, kind of a clunky release, or it's all cluttered up. That's what you got for mesh. Ricard's going in motion, and then he's the guy running out into the flat. So a little bit of a variation there in that it's not the tailback. Lamar had plenty of time to find Andrews to convert. Like I said, I think it was a 3rd and 2. Same formation, except flipped. Here's Zay Flowers. Not exactly the same play. He's running the drag. We would call this just levels, and he's being held. I mean, when we saw this on broadcast, they didn't really talk about it, but you'll be able to see how he's impeded running across the field. I mean, it's not a great throw by Lamar at all, but Already we're grabbing him, and there's no call right in the middle of the field. And you can see Zay Flowers is being held up unless he's trying to draw a penalty, but I don't think so. I don't think he's a guy who's going to flop. That looks like a pretty clear penalty to me. All right, back to Bengals film. I think a 3rd and 10, second possession. And this is the one call that I didn't like from a play caller standpoint. I wanted us to try to just get points, run some concepts to get 5 or 6 yards. Everything we're running here is to get the first down. Well, we tag on there, got a touchdown. I think he's matched up against DJ Turner, and this is another clean win. Aguilar won versus a woozy on this slot fade, and Zay Flowers has won immediately here. I mean, look at what he's got. Horizontal separation leads to vertical separation. This is a bad miss over the top, maybe by half a yard or 2/3 of a yard. Zay Flowers putting himself in position to make plays, even more so than what he made already. Not on the field on a 3rd and 5 on the ensuing possession. Passes incomplete to Andrews. Kind of interesting to me that he's not on the field, but we have so many talented guys. Duve, Aguilar, and Flowers are kind of guys that rotate in and out prior to OBJ going out with an injury on Sunday, that is. But I was surprised. I didn't notice it during the broadcast that he was not on the field, but I noticed it now watching the All-22 Tuesday morning. Not on the field on a 3rd and 5. I'm quite sure there's going to be some Ravens fans that are disappointed with that. I love this play. I love this motion. Flowers and multiple players for the Ravens tend to motion across the field from a 2x2 to create a 3x1, or from a 3x1 to create a 2x2. But that's not what Flowers does here. He makes it look like it's going to be that motion, and then he basically hurry motion. We would call it row or low motion around the quarterback, swing pass out in the right flats. This is what he can do, kind of make something out of nothing. We already have a guy who can do that in Amar, and they're getting blockers out in front in Likely and Bateman. What I do enjoy out of this is that it's 11 personnel. We're not going 12 personnel every time to get him the football in these manners, because that can be somewhat predictable, if you ask me, and that'll be the next to last play that I show you against the Texans. But I love the motion because it starts to look like a normal fast motion across, turns into hurry motion. Lamar quick gets it out to him, and Zay Flowers does what he does. 11-yard gain where it didn't look like we were necessarily going to get something like that when Rashad Bateman lost his block. Sudden change again. I cannot emphasize this enough. In my experience, at least, and you're welcome to offer different opinions, sudden change is a very real thing. First play of the second quarter, maybe the first play of halftime. In some cases, the first play of the game. But a stoppage in play early in the season for high school and youth football, it's very hot in the area that I coach, the Mid-Atlantic region. So you're getting water breaks. And we would kind of strategically plan sudden change plays to use after those water breaks. It was usually like the 6-minute mark of the first quarter and the 6 or 8 minute mark of the second quarter is when the refs would do a water break just to make sure the players were staying hydrated. And we would do sudden change plays after turnovers. Sudden change plays after injuries are also a big opportunity. In this case, you got the interception by Stone, and we're going to go up top to Zay Flowers. It's been a big topic in our Discord, rightfully so, about us hitting some deep passes. I'm not sure that the 3rd and 5 touchdown to Nelson Aguilar is a deep pass. It's a slot fade, ends up being a 17-yard touchdown. I think it was a 23 or 24-yard throw, but this one certainly qualifies. I forget who it was that added it up in terms of where Lamar releases the football, what yard line he's on. Looks like his back foot is on the 31, almost the 30, and Zay catches it on the 15. So 35 plus 19, I guess 53 yards, 54 yards. Pretty accurate play. And I said earlier I was going to give you the end zone angle, and I did not. So here it is. You see we get a lot of time. This one kind of reminds me of the touchdown to Rashad Bateman last year against the Jets. Same kind of like play action fake, and then kicking over to his right a little bit. Get himself set, standing up kind of tall. You can see Bateman on the over route running here, and you could just barely maybe see the feet of the Bengals safety coming down. He realizes what he's done. It's Dax Hill. Ball placement is fantastic, if you ask me. CTB wasn't able to grab him because Zay Flowers was often gone. First play of the third quarter, I believe, against the Texans. Our first possession, I believe. Complete to Zay Flowers. I got fifth possession. I think it's after we got a defensive stop and forced them to punt, but I may be wrong there. But you'll see down here against Derek Stingley, he's going to work to the vertical part of the field, right around the numbers, and then break this off on a deeper out. Him and Derek Stingley appear to be talking afterwards. Lamar is focused on him clearly. Catching the ball everywhere. We've shown you 2 catches of him up the sideline. The one, I guess both of them against the Texans. You had the slot fade where he's open against the Bengals. He beat CTB on a vertical in that third quarter on that 52-yard catch. He's made some catches out in the flats on swing passes to get first downs. He can do everything. He can threaten every part of the field. When I say the dynamic has been changed in terms of how people defend us, this is a real worry for teams on defense. Even if OBJ is out, they've got to account for where he is, and I don't think the routes are predictable at this point in time at all. I think this is after the big catch, and they're going to try to force feed him to get him to football. Sweep to the left into the boundary. And if we get any piece of Logan Wilson, he is one-on-one with this safety, Nick Scott. Now, some people say, well, how come Ricard doesn't outside release to go get Logan Wilson? If he outside releases, then Trey Hendrickson is going to expand with him, and that's not what we want. We're trying to get Trey Hendrickson to step up unblocked. Ricard, his angle ends up being bad. Not the angle he takes, but the angle to get to Logan Wilson. He's trying to move up and then seal off Logan Wilson as Wilson moves in this direction. If Wilson isn't there, if we're able to get to him, if Wilson is sealed off, we got the pin down on Pratt. We got the lead by Justice Hill. This is going to be a touchdown at some point this season for us. We just need the H or the tight end. In this case, Ricard lined up at slot tight end. We need him to be able to get up to that backside inside linebacker. We don't. Ends up being a 6-yard gain. Kind of disappointing because after that big play, we were all hoping that he was going to get a touchdown. You guys let me know if you're as impressed. I mean, I think I know the answer for everybody. Like, we're elated that we got Zay Flowers in the draft, number 1. He is not targeted here, by the way. This is the slot fade touchdown to Aguilar, just to show that Lamar can and has hit this throw as recently as Sunday. The one that was incomplete to Flowers on the 4th play that I showed you. Touchdown, put us up by 10. Finally, teams are going to have to account for this, and I think there's a trickle-down effect here. This was Texans. I kind of talked about this a little bit. You got 4 over 3 to the field, which is kind of standard. The running back is on the side of the bunch. We could run the ball back to the side. What's it going to do? It's going to force the backside inside linebacker and backside safety to have to account for run plays to the side and verticals, outs, post by the backside X. And you'll see the boundary side safety come down. It's Petre, and all the space that potentially creates for our backside X. Could be OBJ, could be Bateman, could be Aguilar, anybody. It's 12 personnel, so we're going to force you to defend that bubble over there. This is Bunch A is one of Monken's favorite formations. I'm actually going to do a video later today and show the data and show all the plays that are available. Now, normally Bunch A, the bunch isn't this wide for the Ravens. Normally it's like here. So the back and the 3 receivers, or in this case receiver and 2 tight ends, are all nearby. This is a wider bunch. So he's changed the dynamic, the spacing, to force the inside linebacker to the bunch side to widen up. See how he holds? We've got 4 defenders held by 3 players. Now, Lamar technically is number 4, so numbers-wise, people would say it's still 4-on-4. But what it creates is it creates an absolute one-on-one down here to the bottom side of the field. Zay Flowers isn't just making plays for himself, and he seems to be giving great effort blocking as well. I'm not going to say that he's a fantastic blocker, but he's making effort to be a good blocker. But I think he's creating space and extra opportunities for other players, and that's why I tried to show you that play. You guys let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. I'm going to do a video this afternoon or maybe Tuesday night on Bunch A. and perhaps another formation that Monken is using. And I'll try to show you guys the data, the run pass data, the directional data, and all the different concepts that are being used out of each. Appreciate y'all's time. If you enjoyed the video, please consider sharing a link to this out on social media to help this content get more reach.